Gucci just announced that they are becoming the title partner for the Alpine Formula One team. And I think this makes so much sense. And it also has a lot of implications for the fashion industry in general, but also for Formula One. This partnership will kick in from 2027, which will see the Alpine team renamed into Gucci Racing Alpine. The car will get repainted in Gucci colors. Currently, the title sponsor for Alpine is BWT, hence why they have the livery in the pink and blue colors that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. But something to clarify quickly, because there was a lot of, confusion about me saying that this means that Gucci is the first title sponsor for a Formula One team in history. A lot of people started saying, it's not the first brand. So many luxury brands have worked in Formula One, blah, blah, blah. It's like, people need to understand, maybe people don't listen attentively, but Gucci is the first title sponsor. There are many other companies that work with Formula One in a much larger capacity, which we'll get into as the video progresses. I think the whole fascinating thing about this partnership between Gucci and Alpine's Formula One team is Gucci founding something called Gucci Racing. Reading my notes here, they described it as a new business, an experiential platform built around the values of performance, precision, discipline, and excellence at the intersection of luxury and sport. It even has its own logo, with Gucci's signature interlocking G alongside a Gucci Racing wordmark. And this announcement is coming just 10 days after Gucci's massive resort collection at Times Square that saw all different kinds of models attending, everything from Tom Brady walking on the runway to the likes of Kim Kardashian in attendance. So I think this is very much a series of bold moves by Gucci to make sure that Gucci stays in the conversation. And luxury fashion and Formula One has always been a perfect partnership, and there have always been partnerships going on between these two worlds. However, it was made more formal in 2024 when LVMH signed a 10-year global partnership with Formula One via Liberty Media, and this deal is worth $100 million a year, so it's estimated to be worth $1 billion over a 10-year span. This means that all of LVMH's brands will be perfectly integrated into the framework of Formula One. This is why you see a lot of Louis Vuitton branding all across the tracks. You see the Louis Vuitton logos on the tracks. You start to see Louis Vuitton making the trunks to house the trophies for Formula One. You also see some of the names of some of the Grand Prix change, like the Monaco Grand Prix is now called the Louis Vuitton Monaco Grand Prix. You then had Tag Heuer, who replaced Rolex as the official timekeeper from 2025, which is insane because Rolex held that position for quite a while. They were the official timekeepers since 2013 in Formula One. Of course, it wasn't completely out of place, as Tag Heuer has also been known historically to be a timekeeper for Formula One. In the 90s and early 2000s, you saw Tag Heuer working a lot with Formula One when it came to the timekeeping. Then you have the likes of Moët. Moët is actually very important to the history of Formula One because Moët was the brand that started that champagne trend where you see the drivers, when they win a race and on the podium, they spray champagne on each other. So what LVMH is doing is essentially slowly reintegrating all these historical brands that they own back into the framework of Formula One. And many of these brands have a long-standing history with Formula One anyway, so it kind of makes sense. It's not completely out of place. It doesn't feel like crazy co-opted branding because the history is there. Another thing that they're doing, even the brands that aren't major parts of all these different elements are still involved in Formula One. For example, you have the likes of Dior, which is another LVMH brand, dressing a lot of drivers on the paddock. You see Dior working with the likes of Lewis Hamilton, for example. Another brand under the Moët umbrella is Belvedere Vodka. And you also see Belvedere Vodka just dotted around during F1 Grand Prix. So essentially, they're using these LVMH brands to create what the modern Formula One iconography is. Because when you watch Formula One, everywhere you look, there's something involved with LVMH there. Whether it's Belvedere Vodka, the Moët that they're spraying on the podium, down to the trunks that you see holding the trophies, they're made by Louis Vuitton, down to the clocks and the timekeeping, you see it, that is Tag Heuer. So they're essentially creating a world where when you think of Formula One, without even knowing, even if you don't know it, all the brands that you think of are LVMH brands. In the past, LVMH has had a connection to the Alpine Formula One racing team. A good example is when Antoine Arnault was the CEO of Beluti, they signed a collaboration where they were an elegance partner and they were essentially providing suits and custom clothing to members of the team and executives of the team. And the reason why they were so interested in dressing these Alpine drivers and the executives was so that they could have their Beluti VIP customers have access to the paddock. So it works for everyone. So there wasn't really money being exchanged, but they were providing super high quality clothes for free so that they can have their customers provide a bigger experience for their customers that improves, customer satisfaction for Beluti and builds customer loyalty. And the customers of Beluti that are their VIP customers will feel like they want to spend more because they have access to all these amazing opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have access to. And that shows you that LVMH had a foothold on the Alpine Formula One team before Gucci was ever in the conversation. A private equity firm that LVMH has a stake in called El Capitan is also heavily involved in sports, and there is a lot of consulting that El Capitan does for LVMH, so it's no surprise that LVMH with time is way more involved in sports. We see them sponsoring everything down to things like the World Cup. Just this year, they launched a $500 million fund called CHAMP. This stands for Champion Athlete Managing Partner, and essentially they've co-invested with over 250 professional athletes, including Kevin Durant, Tyrese Halliburton, Dak Prescott, Mike Trout, and Cooper Flagg. So that just shows you that this LVMH, El Capitan ecosystem, it's more than just investing in sports. It's actually investing in businesses with some of the talent and a lot of these athletes. So they are involved in every single angle and arm when it comes to the sports world. And it doesn't look like they're going to slow down. I mean, we could talk about all the different sports events that LVMH sponsors. I'll run out of time. I mean, we saw them sponsor the Olympics. They are super heavily involved in the Olympics. Beluti dressed the French team for the Olympics, so you have the LVMH influence there. We also saw, for example, Sephora being involved in the torch. We also saw the likes of Moe opening pop-ups in different sports that they sponsor, whether that's, the NFL, they're involved in the NFL, they're involved in Roland Garros in tennis. So it spreads far. It spreads far. And they sponsor a lot of athletes. I mean, when you think of Louis Vuitton, they have brand ambassadors like Victor Wembanyama, who's a basketball player, or Jude Bellingham, who's a football player. They've even signed tennis players like Carlos Alcaraz. And so even when you hear that Gucci is the first title sponsor in Formula One history when it comes to a fashion luxury brand doing that, yes, it's a big achievement for Gucci, but we also need to talk about the fact that LVMH is really the one running things when it comes to Formula One. It's important to understand that Formula One has a sponsorship hierarchy. You have the top of the sports itself, which is where LVMH sits. They are the global partners and the race title partners. They can change the name of races that they sponsor, and they support Formula One globally, essentially. Then on the lower tier, you have the team title partners. These are the partners that their sponsorship allows them to change the titles of teams, hence why it will be called Gucci Racing Alpine. That is on the lower level than a race title sponsor or a global sponsor, which is what LVMH is. But I personally don't think that Gucci Racing is just a sponsorship. And of course, we will see more about Gucci Racing as time progresses. But I think that this is a product line in disguise, if I'm going to be honest. Because to quote the article from Women's Wear Daily directly, it says, "This will be a platform that will be activated across a range of initiatives over the coming seasons, from content and product to high-end client experiences and exclusive engagement." And with me trying to read in between the lines and the fact that the interlocking G logo for Gucci Racing is a whole thing, that could be a print that they use on products or just a logo that they use for those specific products in general. I think they're going to make a massive product line out of all of this. I also think it will be an easy chance for them to turn the two drivers of Alpine into brand ambassadors and to dress them in all these unique outfits that starts to become a fashion moment that a lot of people are looking at. And I think where Kering is really smart and spending their money wisely, even though they are a team title sponsor, they are going to make the most of it because yes, LVMH runs the whole thing and they have they have visibility of all their brands everywhere in Formula One. I think for Kering and Gucci specifically, as Gucci is the most important brand for the Kering conglomerate in general, you can launch a product line off the back of it. It's a very good way to spend money and making sure that they're making the most of the fact that they are a team title sponsor. It's almost a sponsorship that also doubles as a line of revenue, which is very, very smart if that's what they do with it. And I think Gucci has the perfect ecosystem that makes this whole deal make sense. There are very specific people that I think are the perfect reason why this Gucci deal makes all the sense in the world. The first example is Luca De Meo. Luca De Meo is the current CEO of Kering. Kering, as you guys know, is the parent company of Gucci. Previously, before Luca De Meo was the CEO of Kering, he was the CEO of Renault. Renault Group is a massive group. They own a lot of different companies and brands. One of the things that they have a majority stake in is the Alpine Formula One racing team. So I can imagine when he was the CEO of Renault, he was heavily involved with a lot of moves that were made when it came to the Formula One Alpine racing team. And so he has a lot of information and data and things he's learned over the years about how much visibility Formula One can bring to a brand and to a company. And he has a good sense of that. So him leaving Renault to go to Kering, and one of the deals he's putting in place is this Formula One deal to be a title sponsor with Alpine Racing, a team that he has worked very closely with, I think is very important to note. And he must know something that we don't. And I guess time will tell if this decision is a good decision. Another important part of this deal is that Flavio Briatore, who essentially runs the Alpine Formula One racing team, he has a lot of experience in Formula One. He's been in and involved in Formula One for a very long time, dating all the way back to the 90s with the Benetton team. And Flavio knows a lot about the clothing industry because, of course, he worked at Benetton. It was even funny that in Formula One, when he was first involved in Formula One, they used to refer to him as a t-shirt salesman, mainly because he was coming from a fashion brand, whereas most people in Formula One come from more of an automotive background, or they worked at some sort of automotive company before they become involved in Formula One in any sort of regard. So you have Luca De Meo, who is a CEO from Renault and has all this experience working with Alpine. You have Flavio, who has a background in fashion before he started working within Formula One, and now he's super experienced in Formula One. You put these two heads together and it's like they must have plans to create some crazy apparel for Gucci and Formula One. And the biggest reason why I think this will happen is because you have to consider who the creative director of Gucci is right now. Demna is the current artistic director of Gucci, and we've seen so many times where Demna has shown us that he's very interested in the automotive world, and he has designed many products that would agree with that statement. For example, when he was at Balenciaga, he had so many collaborations with Alpine stars. At Balenciaga, he was making everything from motorcycling jackets to motorcycling gloves to motorcycling boots. And many of you might not know, but Demna growing up, his father was actually a mechanic. To quote him directly, he said, "My father had a car wash and a garage. He's a car mechanic and he's as obsessed with cars as I am with clothes." So you can imagine Demna growing up around someone like that, being his dad. He learned so much about the car space. He probably learned about Formula One back then, learned about MotoGP, learned about motorcycles, learned about cars. So that is something that by association just grew up around. And so Demna has shown a track record of translating motorsports into luxury products anyway. So this will just be a continuation of that. And this is something I think Demna is very, very good at. He's exceptionally good at making those kind of products. So think about the people involved. You have Flavio, who essentially runs the Alpine Formula One team. You have Luca De Meo, who of course came from Renault and has been working closely with the Alpine Formula One team. You also have Demna, who has shown a track record of making all these automotive inspired products and collaborations and turning them into luxury products. You mix all of these things together and you just start to think that Gucci Racing is a bit more than a sponsorship, and this could become a whole branding opportunity entirely. Essentially, Gucci is uniquely set up for them to extract value out of this deal. And so to me, this deal makes so much sense. Formula One still very much is an untapped market for a lot of different kinds of brands. The audience of Formula One has completely changed. Liberty Media has done an amazing job at making Formula One more popular. They launched the Drive to Survive series on Netflix that I think has gotten a whole new audience into Formula One. Now you have a lot of women that are involved with Formula One. There are a lot more women that are involved in the automotive space. They also, some of them just find a lot of the Formula One drivers really attractive. And so that's a thing. Statistically now, 4 in 10 Formula One viewers are women, and half of them are below the age of 35, which is a very strong market that luxury fashion brands want. When Formula One did a survey, they found that 3 out of 4 new Formula One fans are women. So it is increasingly becoming something that is more and more viewed by more women. It's also an audience that cares about luxury and looks about luxury. If you think about it, Formula One is essentially a luxury product in and of itself. You have these multi-million-dollar cars with these drivers that make multi-millions, with tickets that cost so much money, especially if you try to go to the Monaco Grand Prix, it's so expensive. And with this LVMH deal involved, plastered with luxury brand logos all across every single corner of the paddock to the racetrack. Essentially, what Gucci has done is they have joined in and joined the room. So, let me know your thoughts on Gucci entering the world of Formula One. I'm really curious to know what you guys' thoughts on all of this are. Do you think we're going to see really cool Gucci outfits on the paddock now? What do you think is going to happen starting from 2027 when this deal kicks in? If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like and also hype the video. It really helps the video get visibility. And on that note, I will be back with another video very soon.